What's going on, people? Welcome back to Curtis Shaw TV, back with another live stream. Happy Friday, people. Apologies, I am slightly late, although I'm usually a little bit late anyway, but a bit more than usual today. Um, Traveling back from the Forever Arsenal show. And there was a lot of traffic. Oh, guys, the traffic, guys, is unbelievable, guys. But we're here, people. Big up to everyone. Happy Friday. Hope you're all well. Lots to talk about today. The Champions League draw has been announced. Couple of big transfer stories, although how much of it do you actually believe? And then we will obviously look ahead to the game against Chelsea, which is the big game of the weekend in the Premier League and for Arsenal. So big up to everyone. Make sure you hit the like button. The traffic was too trafficy. Yeah, it was one of them, you know. Big up to everyone locked in, though. I think Mikel Arteta's press conference is about to start. It said 1:30, but it's always seems to be slightly delayed now, and it's closer to 2 o'clock. But yeah, we'll hopefully get the full press conference before that happens. But listen, big up to everyone locked in. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe. We're about 20 away from 107,000. So if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do. Yeah, we did Forever Arsenal this morning at 11, which is why I didn't do a live watch along for the draw. But hopefully some of you guys were in for that. Big up Alexander Hall. Never usually get to catch a live silent listener. Big up to all the silent listeners that are stepping out of the shade. It's safe. It's a safe space, people. Shameless opinions are very much welcome. Right, let's get into. I'm still laughing at AFTV, the Invisible Man Challenge, and Robbie Goater. I can't believe Ryan did that to me, you know. For those that didn't see, it's that time where I stood on the ball and fell over in the Claude Cup final, which I did score the winning goal in that final. But no, they don't want to show the winning goal. They want to show me falling over. It's all good. It's cool. Don't worry. We'll come back. But yeah, and we called Robbie Sean Goater, which was quality as well. But big up to everyone. Big up Moonshine jumping in here from Forever Arsenal. Big up your damn self every time. Asking Robbie to go Dubai. Listen, man, I told him you better sort that out. He's going Dubai next week. I said, what? We ain't doing Forever Arsenal in Dubai, no? All right, say nothing. I'll stay here and do it in the rain in London. No problem. No problem. Arsenal Champions League draw. Let's react to it. Bayer Leverkusen of Germany for Arsenal. First leg is in Germany, and then we bring them back. I was going to say to the carpet, but it hasn't looked like a carpet lately, to be honest. Looked more like a rug, you know, a messy rug, with how the pitch has been cutting up. Just to give you all a bit of context, I went through this yesterday, but we'll go through it again. Bayer Leverkusen are currently 6th in the Bundesliga. They are 21 points behind Bayern Munich, and they are not having a particularly good season. They, if we look at their team, I mean, they're decimated from what they were when they were invincibles. They lost Florian Wirtz, they lost Frimpong, they lost Jonathan Tah, Granit Xhaka, Piero Nketiah. They've lost half their team, and they're a team that we should be beating. I'm going to be honest with you. Like, you just never know because, and somebody brought this up in the chat yesterday, that I remember when we got Monaco, and a lot of people thought we'll beat Monaco, and Martial dumped all over us, you know, and we got knocked out when Giroud couldn't hit a barn door. So you never know. Their team, they've got Jarell Konza at the back, who was at Liverpool, Lucas Vasquez, right wing back, obviously you know him from Real Madrid. They've got Grimaldo left wing back, who's very highly rated. Patrick Schick up front, who's been a solid striker for a while. I mean, I'm looking through the rest of this squad. There's not a lot there, man. I'm sorry. Who's injured? They've got Flecken, who used to be the goalkeeper at Brighton. Nathan Tella, who's from England. They've had a couple managers. We should be beating them, man. I'm sorry. We should be beaten by Leverkusen. They're not great. Their results, they play a bit of a high line, three at the back. Got to be beating them, but you just never know. Do you know what? Forget that one. Let me get the route to the final for all the teams, and we'll go into more detail. So, I mean, basically, we have got an absolutely brilliant part of the draw, which we're going to go through in a little bit more detail. So we've obviously got Bayer Leverkusen in the last 16. We should be beating them. If we beat Bayer Leverkusen, we play the winners of Sporting Lisbon and Bodo Glimt. Bodo Glimt, who have literally, them and Dundalk basically trolled them for years. Not trolled them, but it's just a team that I talk about in the Europa League. But they're actually a much better team now. You know, they beat Man City this year and they've just knocked out Inter Milan. So I'm just going to say it as it is, because I don't do the, oh, let's step around it and be all nice and professional. Arsenal should be making the semi-finals of the Champions League. That's the reality of the situation. Arsenal should be beating Bayer Leverkusen, second leg at the Emirates, and we should be beating Bodo or Sporting Lisbon with the second leg at the Emirates. I'm just saying it. You never know, though. You never know. This isn't me saying we will, so I don't want people to clip me up and go, oh, you said you'd beat them. I'm saying, let's be real, we should be beating them. Yeah, if we lose to Bodo, it's my fault. We should be beaten by Leverkusen and we should beat Bodo or Sporting Lisbon. I'm sorry, we should. We should be in the semi-final of the Champions League by beating those two teams. The top part of our side of the draw, Newcastle against Barcelona. What a game that is. Obviously, Barcelona beat Newcastle earlier on in the season when Rashford scored that rocket crossbar and in. The second leg is at Newcastle, I believe. Or is the second leg at the Newcastle? Let me double check. But yeah, I think that Barcelona will probably have too much for them, personally. And then you've got Atletico Madrid against Tottenham. Oh, the second leg's at the Nou Camp. Is it how it's listed? Yeah? Okay, cool. So the away team are the second. So second leg's at the Nou Camp. Yeah. So I expect Barcelona to beat them, but you never know. They started that game like on fire, Newcastle, but they didn't put their chances away. The only way Newcastle get through, they've got to batter them at St James's and go there with like a 3-goal lead. That's probably the only way I think they could get through. They might beat them at home. I don't see them doing anything away from home. But that high line with the pace that Newcastle have got, like you said, yeah, Langer, Gordon, could be a problem. But I think over 2 legs, Barca might have too much. And then Atletico against Tottenham. Tottenham have done well in Europe, but I think Atleti will have a bit too much for Tottenham. But you just never know with this European competition. So if, and I mean if Arsenal beat Bayer Leverkusen in the last 16, we then play Bodo Glimt or Sporting Lisbon in the quarter-final. And if we then get past one of those teams, we will play one of these 4 in the semi-final. So either Newcastle, Barcelona, Atletico Madrid, or Tottenham in the semi-final of the Champions League. And again, the second leg will be at the Emirates in every one of those games. So I'll be honest, people, I expect Arsenal to be minimum making the semi-final. Minimum. And then it's a case of who do you play? And like I said, second leg at home. But it'd be interesting because on the face of it, I think you would go, yeah, Barca beat Newcastle, Atletico beat Tottenham, but you just never know. These English clubs are causing a lot of problems. Can you imagine playing Tottenham in a Champions League semi-final? It would be absolutely outrageous, the intensity of that. Do you know what? If I was a betting man, and I'm not encouraging betting here, it might be Atletico Madrid in the semi-final because they just smashed Barcelona in the Copa del Rey semi-final. So it could be Atleti. I don't know. But then Barca, I don't know. I think the 2 Spanish teams are the favourites to get through. But you just don't know how it will go. Let's have a look at the other side of the draw, which We have absolutely avoided Sporting race. Beat Madrid. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know what it means. I agree. Would love to play Spurs in a semi-final. Would be incredible. I'd actually enjoy that. Or would I enjoy that? I don't know. Ala Madrid said, as a Madrid fan, I think Arsenal should and probably will win it. Every team in the Champions League, apart from Arsenal, have major weaknesses. We're the only team that is close to complete. See, from the outside, I understand that viewpoint, but there's a number of things that we have to deal with. I always think in cup competitions, individual brilliance is a massive factor. I still think there's 2 or 3 teams at least that have got more individual brilliance than we have in a semi-final or when it's crunch time. Lamine, Harry Kane, Mbappe, Haaland, Dembele, they've got players that can grab a game by the scruff of the neck. How many of those players do Arsenal have? Second of all, we've got a manager that just, I haven't seen him in enough big games grab a game with the substitutions or the tactics. I've seen Luis Enrique do it. I've seen Hansi Flick do it. I've seen Diego Simeone do it. And also, the other thing that you have to talk about is heritage. I do think plays a part in Europe. There are certain clubs that are just built for Europe. We've seen Real Madrid over the years where you think they're not as good and they just have that thing at the Bernabeu or at the Nou Camp against Barcelona or, you know, Anfield on a Champions League night. It turns into a different stadium. There's just something different. So I still think there's things that Arsenal have to overcome to win the Champions League. Also, you know, we beat Bayern Munich earlier in the season. And by the way, I'm not taking anything away from us because I think if it isn't for Donnarumma, I think we win the Champions League last year. I honestly think if Donnarumma doesn't perform at that level, we beat PSG and then we beat Inter Milan in that final. Bayern Munich, obviously, when we played them earlier in the season, they had no Musiala, no Luis Diaz, no Alphonso Davies, so that will be a harder game. But I do think we have a lot of balance, you know, and we defend very well. The other side of the draw is crazy. PSG against Chelsea. I think that is close, by the way, because Chelsea at home in the Champions League, I think, will be a very tough game for PSG second leg. PSG have looked a bit shaky, but then last year in the group stage, they were poor and they went through the gears when it came to crunch time. But I honestly just think selling Donnarumma is an absolute clanger. I think it's an absolute clanger and I think they will suffer. But we'll see. I would like to see PSG get knocked out, to be honest, as the holders, of course. Galatasaray against Liverpool. They did beat them in the group stage and they stumbled through. But I think Liverpool will have too much for Galatasaray. Second leg at Anfield. Unless Galatasaray batter them in Turkey, which I don't think they will. I was looking at their team. Lamina and Lucas Torreira in midfield. We all know Osimhen's a brilliant player, but I just don't think they'll have enough. I actually think Liverpool quietly could be one of the favourites for the Champions League. Not a lot of people will say that because you look at them and go, oh, they're not that good in the league. I just think Liverpool have been good in Europe this year. And they've also got every game until the semi-final, second leg at Anfield. But that side of the draw is crazy. That's the only thing that might get to them. So actually, if you're looking ahead to the semi-final in that pot, quarter-final, sorry, PSG and Chelsea, Galatasaray and Liverpool. So you could end up with, I think Liverpool will win. PSG, Chelsea is a flip of the coin. So you're going to get rid of Chelsea or PSG. Liverpool probably get through. And then you could end up with Liverpool, PSG or Liverpool, Chelsea. Run back the years when Luis Garcia scored that goal when Chelsea and Liverpool had that rivalry under Rafa. The other part is crazy. I mean, Bayern Munich got Atalanta, which if we would have got Atalanta, we would have been on this side of the draw. So Bayern Munich will play Atalanta, which I think they will have too much. I think they'll beat Atalanta second leg in Germany. And then you've got Manchester City against Real Madrid, which I brought up this in conversation yesterday, is that do we want Man City to get knocked out so that Pep loses his mind, or do we want them to get through so that Manchester City have a lot of games? Because if City get knocked out to Real Madrid, all those midweeks where we're travelling around Europe, they'll be chilling with their feet up. So would that help Man City in the Premier League? I think if you said, listen, I'm going to give you the power to how you want to shape this, I would make Man City beat Real Madrid, get through, play Bayern Munich, and then get knocked out. So they've got a lot of games. If City beat Madrid, they play Bayern. Yeah, so basically, the next round, the game is before the cup final. So they would actually be playing Real Madrid a few days before the cup final. So I don't know what the right angle is. Like, I feel like when Man City play Real Madrid, I'll just want Real Madrid to beat them. Simple as that. I just want Real Madrid to knock them out. But if I had to call that, I think Man City are slight favourites. This Real Madrid team cannot defend. But you just never know. It's Kylian. Kylian got a hat-trick against... Yo, shout out my brother. Come on. We need the OGs back. Yeah, there's a lot going on. International break coming up. Come on, let's get it sorted. I'm going to message you after the show. People asking me all the time, where's the OGs? I said, bro, we got to get it back sorted. Let's get that. Big up Turkish in the chat. Hope you're well, bro. Havertz back at Leverkusen. And in Capia. So you're going to end up with Madrid City. Let's say City beat Madrid. More than likely, they're going to get Bayern Munich. And then if you beat Bayern Munich, you go back to the top, you're probably going to get Liverpool or PSG or Chelsea. So that route to the final on that side of the draw is insane. It's absolutely insane. It really is. I think the best case scenario for Arsenal would be Man City beat Real Madrid, then get knocked out to Bayern Munich. The only problem is we play Man City in the cup final a few days after the second leg of the Real Madrid game. So their confidence levels will be through the roof if they've just knocked out Real Madrid. Where Pep, obviously, Barcelona boy, losing to Real Madrid, he might lose his marbles, start scratching his head. You know what I mean? Look at this. No, could you believe it? When we started OGs last year, was it last year? We started OGs last year. I had cane rows past my shoulders and Turkish was going thin on top. He flies to Turkey. Now he's got a jerry curl on top of his head. He could probably get cane rows. And I've got a skin fade. What's going on? It's all gone mad. You cut your hair, bro. Oh, geez, he's done. You got no hair. I got too much hair. It's all gone mad. The hair's flipped. It's crazy. Don't worry. We'll get it sorted. We will get it sorted. You know what I mean? But listen, I'm going to do a lot of watch-alongs here, by the way, for these games. Real Madrid, Man City, we will be there. And even though I'm saying let's get Man City to get through and get more games, I will be Kylian Mbappe FC. I think when I really deep it, I want Man City to lose. I want Man City to get beat. When that game starts, I want Real Madrid to inflict pain on them. 45-minute drive to Leverkusen. Brilliant draw. That's a brilliant draw. Some people are in the chat saying, no, I'd rather get Atalanta, but no, I wouldn't. I think a well-organised Italian team, they've got a very good home record. They've got a tall striker who's good in the air. I think Leverkusen is the better draw. Oh, Kylian. Kylian's out for an extended period. That never sounds good. Oh, guys. Kylian Mbappe is out for an undetermined period of time. He's undergone exams that show his knee has issues. Further scans to find out the full extent. If Kylian's out, Real Madrid are out. Simple as that. How long is he out for? Apparently he's been playing through discomfort for some time. Could require surgery. Wow. Although this full article says they feel he is able to play through the pain. but France are concerned that it could jeopardise his place at the World Cup. Oh no, but then now it says Kylian Mbappe is expected to be out for 2 weeks. He should return in time for the first leg of the round of 16. Yeah, we need to see Vinny go crazy, man. We need Vinny to go crazy. What do you guys make of that draw? I'll be honest with you. If we drew that ourselves, we couldn't have made that much better, to be honest. To give us Bayer Leverkusen and then Bodo Glimt or Sporting Lisbon. And I want people to be aware in the chat, like, the one thing I'm not is arrogant when it comes to Arsenal, because, like I said, we've seen Arsenal get knocked out by Monaco. Do you know what I mean? When Martial was running all over us and Giroud couldn't hit a barn door. So let's be real. Arsenal are not incapable of being knocked out by one of these teams. But we should be making the semi-final minimum, and then anything can happen. You know, so, and you would like to think as well, if we can get past Leverkusen without too many problems, we go into that cup final without too much stress, where I'm hoping that Man City have to go to war with Real Madrid. And I want them to come out of those 2 games battered and bruised for that cup final against Arsenal. That's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm hoping. Apparently there's some news regarding Chelsea and their team news. Well, I'll get that up for when we look ahead to that game. That is getting much stronger now. Well, it looks like Esteval's been ruled out. I know we're not going to that game right now, but Liam Rossinha said Reece James will be fine. Lavia is getting stronger and stronger. Esteval, unfortunately, will take a bit longer. Cucurella is progressing well, but will not be available for Sunday. We hope to get him back as quickly as possible. So no Cucurella and no Esteval for Chelsea this weekend. Esteval was injured in the warm-up, I believe, last week. That's a big plus for us, because I'm not going to lie, Cucurella, I think, has been one of the best fullbacks against Saka over the years. Saka doesn't get much joy out of him. And obviously Fofana's suspended, so come on, man. We got to handle business. We've got to handle business. But listen, fantastic Champions League draw, but it's only fantastic if you take advantage of it. That means go and deal with Leverkusen and then go and beat Bodo or Sporting, and then it gets down to crunch time. So exciting. I'm going to do a lot of watch-alongs for those games. Chelsea, PSG, Real Madrid against City, obviously both Arsenal games. We will be there. It's funny, isn't it? Part of you thinks, when you look at how everything's going, that everything's falling into place for it to be our season. Fantastic Champions League draw. FA Cup, we keep getting lower league teams. You know, Portsmouth, Wigan and Mansfield in the FA Cup, so we can keep rotating. We're in the Carabao Cup final. It's all there to be achieved. It's all in front of us. But because of what we've seen with Arsenal over the last few years, it's too, like, you don't feel like you can commit to it and say, oh, we're gonna, because we've seen Arsenal before. But if ever Arsenal were going to achieve greatness this season, it's right in front of them. I don't think they'll ever get a better opportunity than this to go and win multiple trophies. You just won't. You just simply won't. Big up Alexander, who's become a member. Big up to you, bro. Appreciate that. Harry Armstrong says, book flights to Budapest. Bring your boots, bring your pads. I always give you guys this advice. Not to be arrogant. I'm not saying we're going to be in the Champions League final. What you find, what happens is, the moment the semi-finals finish, whatever teams make that final, a flight from London to Budapest around the Champions League final, it will go up 4 or 5 times in value. So a £100 flight will probably cost you 500. A hotel that's 100 will probably cost you 400 or 500. So I always tell people, if your plan is to go to the final, book your flight now. Because you might get a flight from London to Budapest for 70 quid, 80 quid. By time, if Arsenal make the final, they will put that to like £500. So if there's an outside chance that you're thinking, do you know what, I might go there, I'd say book a flight. And worst case scenario, you just change it or cancel it and get your money back or move it to a different flight. Let me just have a look so I can. When is the Champions League final? Champions League final date this year is on the 30th of May. So I'm doing this for the community. 30th of May. I bet the prices have already gone up because there's so many English teams. Budapest on the 30th of May from London. I bet the price is already up. Let's have a look. Let's just say you return the day after. One adult, how much are we looking? Budapest. £270 if you go direct, £115 if you stop. It's not terrible. I guarantee Arsenal make the final. That'll be about £700. I'm not gonna lie, it could be. I think road trip would be the way to go. I think a road trip would be the way to go. But 200 odd pound is good. That's not bad. Hotels 200. Yeah, but hotels are not that expensive either, but they'll go up. So you could have a good little trip there. 3 days, Budapest, road trip. Do you know what, people? I said when we made the Carabao Cup final, I said I'll definitely do a watch along for that. The Champions League final would put me under pressure. I can't lie. Whether I'd do a watch along or go, it depends if I could get a ticket at a decent price. I'm not sure. It might be difficult, but Champions League finals are like once in a lifetime, aren't they? You know, we've only seen 2 of Arsenal in our whole life, so I don't know. But then, could I get a ticket? I don't. It'd be expensive. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. Let's hope that's a problem we have to deal with later on in the season. It could be unbelievable. Yeah, the stream would be great as well. It would be great. I go live for like 10 hours. I go live at 8 o'clock in the morning for 8 o'clock kickoff at night. This is our next set of fixtures now, with these Bayer Leverkusen games penciled in as well. How far is Budapest to London driving? Because somebody just said in the chat they drove there. Let me have a look. We'll have a look. London to Budapest. If you drive, how long would it take? 18 hours. Not too bad, is it? It'd be a good road trip. Imagine doing all that drive and then losing. Oh my days. But then at least you ain't got to do the hotel and all that stuff. Who knows? Let's see what happens. Let's make sure we get there first. You know what I mean? Maybe Lamine Yamal destroys us. And then I ain't got nothing to talk about. Arteta's press conference has started apparently, so we've got some quotes. We'll get them ready as well. Right, big up to everyone locked in. Appreciate the support. Let's talk. We'll talk about these couple of transfer stories, and then you guys can give your opinion on them, and then we'll see what happens. But yeah, these next 7 fixtures. Chelsea at home, Brighton away. I've said it for a while, that Brighton game. I don't know what it is about it, but they're the games I don't like. You know, they're Brighton are a team that can cause a problem, you know. But we've got to beat Chelsea. I think if we can get out of this Chelsea and Brighton game, we've really can put the pressure on Manchester City. We have to win these next 2 games. Next week, we've got Mansfield, my former club. We should beat them. Then Leverkusen away, then Everton. Then Leverkusen at home. And then Manchester City. Manchester City. Who obviously play against Real Madrid. Second leg is at the Etihad. So they will be playing Real Madrid at the Etihad a few days before they play us in the cup final, you know. Big up Lavan, who said, Big C, I would love to meet you in person. Your streams help my mental health and give me hope for the future. Are you planning to do a community meetup? Big up to you, bro. And yeah, definitely. Do you know what? A few people reached out and said, like, look, you know, I work in this place. You can use this if you ever want to do a meetup. Even some people abroad have said, one guy messaged me, apologies, I forgot his name. He said he runs a bar in Miami. He was like, next time you're in Miami, you can use the place. And so we got places, man. What I want to do really, I want it to be in with winning something. You know, if we win the Carabao Cup, maybe we could do a meet-up after, like not on the same day, but like the week after or something. A bit of a, it'd be nice if there was something to celebrate attached to it, you know, which is something we haven't experienced for a while. W draw, said Mohammed. Like I predicted, I think it will be a Madrid or Bayern final. Also, no Steve or Cucurella on Sunday. No excuses. We pray for tossing at centre back. Yeah, not as good as Fofana. Big up Joba, my member for 32 months. Big up Big C in the community. Could be an insane season. Please, Mikel, we've been through enough, man. Arsenal CSA, I think it will be Arsenal v Bayern in the final. That would be naughty. That would be naughty, man. We could beat them. I think I'd rather play Bayern in a one-off game than in a two-legged semi-final because I just think they're so good in Germany. But they're dangerous. Bayern Munich are probably the one team in Europe outside of the English clubs, because English clubs are just always difficult. Bayern are the one team that I'm a bit like, oh, I think I'd rather avoid them. Because I know we beat them earlier in the season, but I just think they had no Diaz, no Davis, no Musiala. I think they're a very good team. But the only thing I will say, I don't rate their centre backs. I really don't rate their centre backs. You know, Upamecano and these guys, I think they can be got at. So listen, I suppose we've got to have the mentality that let them worry about us. I want teams to walk around and go, I don't want Arsenal. You can't hide your way to a Champions League. You can't go and play hide and seek and pop up in a Champions League final. You're going to have to play a couple of big teams to win it. Make sure you smash the likes, people, if you haven't already. 2.5K in the chat. Steve is Esteval's nickname, I believe. So, yeah, when he said Steve, that's who he was referring to. Anton said, on your side, there's 5 title wins compared to 31 on the other side. That's crazy. I saw somebody put a stat about that earlier, but you just never know. PSG didn't have a title. They won it last year. So, Eze will love the Champions League semi-final tie with Spurs. Yeah, we'll probably get a hat-trick if we play them. Big up to Farhan. Joba said, the group route is kind of reverse of last year for us. A real opportunity for an all-timer season. Or same as usual. Just hope Josh Kroenke gets rid if we win nothing but one game at a time. Yeah, listen. I'm one of the harshest people on Arteta within the YouTube scene and community, but I hope he's the Arsenal manager next season, because for me, the only way he should be the Arsenal manager is if he's won something major. So I hope he is the Arsenal manager next season. If he doesn't win anything and he's the Arsenal manager, then something's gone horribly wrong. Yeah, Fitz, my apologies, my friend. We are going to do the member stream next week now. I've had a crazy week. Considering it was a quiet week in terms of Arsenal, I've had a mad busy week. So Tuesday or Thursday, either side of the Brighton game, we will get it done, 100%. Around what dates do you reckon the parade will be looking to book flights and hotels coming from America? I mean, usually parade 1 or 2 days after a final. I don't think they'll do a parade for the Carabao Cup, but if they won the league, so I'd go last game of the season, you need to be in the country because it might be the following day. And then the Champions League, again, you would say 1 or 2 days after. So end of May, you want to be in the country maybe for a week for that Premier League season finishing and then the Champions League. But we got a long way to go. Long. You might not need to book a flight yet. Let's hope you do have to book a flight. Curtis, I'm flying in from the US this weekend. Can't get tickets for a game. For the game, sorry. What's a good sports bar? I mean, it's difficult to say because it just depends what type of bar you want. You know, the Tollington's a good bar near the Emirates. You get a good atmosphere in there. I'll tell you one thing though, right? You say you can't get tickets for the game. You can usually go to the stadium and people will be selling tickets. However, they will be expensive. Do you know what I mean? And you have to be careful because I know people who've bought tickets before, they've gone to scan them and it didn't work. So what I always say to people is if you're ever going to buy a ticket from some random outside the stadium, say to them, look, walk me to the gate, scan it, and then let me make sure that it works. Because I know people who've paid hundreds of pounds to someone, gone to scan at the gate, and nothing happens. And somebody's probably already used that ticket and they've just screenshotted the QR code. So you have to be careful. But I think you would get tickets for that game. But you'd pay a lot of money. You would pay a lot of money, man. So yeah, you got to be careful. That's for sure. Big up to everyone locked in. I'm just getting these transfer stories because there's a few links. Yo, big up Northside with the raid. People saying you've had a raid. I couldn't even. It doesn't show up sometimes on my screen. Big up Northside for the raid, man, and everyone who's come over from Northside stream. Big up Laser. What do you say? Go right. Yeah, you often find close to the kickoff, some of these guys start panicking and then they'll go, oh, get the ticket a bit cheaper. But because it's Chelsea, I don't think, I'm not sure that will happen. I think there's a lot of people who want to go to this game this weekend. I think that Tottenham game has kind of brought everyone's enthusiasm back. So just be careful. Be careful. Unreasonable. Could we sell Odegaard to Chelsea for 50 mil? I can't see Chelsea buying him. I'd do it though. Albert said, Curtis, I think this Chelsea financial situation gives them no choice but to attack us Sunday. In terms of the Champions League, we have to remain focused. Chelsea have to get Champions League football. You can't spend billions of pounds, then end up in the Europa League. You've got to remember, there's players at Chelsea that I think if Chelsea ended up in the Europa League could turn around and go, yeah, I'm not staying. I'm not staying. I'm not sure Caicedo. I'm not sure Cole Palmer would want to stay at Chelsea in the Europa League. I think we've all heard this thing that Cole Palmer really wants to play for Man United. It's his boyhood club. I think it's his dream to play for United. If Man United made the Champions League and Chelsea were in the Europa League, who knows what happens with that situation. So they've got to be careful. I don't think they can afford to be in the Europa League. Farhan said, if Gyökeres keeps his form, we're winning all the trophies. Listen, I'll take any decent couple of trophies, I'll be happy with that. Big up Alan who said, Big C, I'm off to the Bahamas this weekend. I will tell people in the Bahamas about your YouTube channel. Yeah, tell them I want a free hotel as well. We could do with a family trip to the Bahamas. You know what I mean? But yeah, right. Let me get into these transfer stories and then we'll look ahead to the Chelsea game. Big up to everyone locked in. Big up the Twitch gang as well. Can't forget about the Twitch gang. Now, Palmer's a Man United fan. He done basically what Anthony Gordon did. So Palmer ended up at City. The moment he left City, he made it public that he's a Man United fan. Obviously, he didn't want to reveal that while he was at Man City. Anthony Gordon was at Everton. The moment he left, he said, oh, by the way, I'm a massive Liverpool fan. And then Everton fans hate him now. So, and Darren Bent did something similar. He played for Tottenham. The moment he left Tottenham, he said, yo, everyone, I'm a massive Arsenal fan. And now Tottenham fans don't like him. So, yeah, Palmer's a big Man United fan, which he revealed after leaving Man City. Let's have a look at these two transfer targets. One I'm in favour of, one I am not in favour of. And this is the one that I am not in favour of. But I want to know your guys' opinion, because some of you, I was talking about it today, and there was some people going, they rate him, they think, I'm not a big fan of him, but you guys make up your own opinion and let me know. Charlie Wyatt, who works for The Sun, not a great source, by the way, but he says Arsenal will target Anthony Gordon this summer and are currently ahead of Liverpool and Man United in the race. With Arteta a long-term admirer, Newcastle will demand £95 million for Gordon, although Arsenal hope to pay between 75 and 80 million. Oh, honestly, and I don't want to get carried away here, but honestly, this, for me, is an absolute stinker of a signing. The guy's got 3 Premier League goals this season. I know he's ripping up the Champions League. He's got 10 goals in 10 games in the Champions League, although he got 4 of them against Karabag, who I reckon I could have scored against. He's got 3 Premier League goals, man. Come on. What concerns me about this deal is Arsenal like these kind of players. English, value, but he's 25. He's not that young. I honestly don't think he's much better than Martinelli, to be honest. I wouldn't want him. And 75 plus million, do me a favour. Clanger if they sign him. I don't want nothing to do with him. Nothing to do. I don't rate the guy. Don't rate him. He's quick, he's direct. I think he lacks intelligence on the ball. Like you said, we've let players like Kvara go to PSG at 65 million. Lookman go to Atletico for 30 million. We've waited years for a left winger, and you're going to try and turn up with Anthony Gordon. No, no, no. I don't want nothing to do with that deal. Even if he was 50 million, I wouldn't want him. I would not want this guy. Please don't sign Anthony Gordon at them stupid prices as well. Do me a favour. Let him go to Liverpool. That's his boyhood club, apparently. They're saying Leao could be available for 70 million euros, about 60 odd million quid. Yildiz, Rodrigo. And you want this guy? Keep this headband merchant, this Claire Balding looking brother, as far away from Arsenal as possible. Imagine turning up, Saka's out, and you've got two headbands on both wings. You got Noni on that side, and then you got this brother on the left. Do you know that? Do you know the concerning thing for me about this link is, and you know what? You've just absolutely nailed it there, Premier Waste Management. He strikes me as an Arteta type of winger. He's got fantastic work rate. He's quick. He's direct. And that is what Arsenal seem to like. So would they be completely against it? Me, I'm not in favour. Most of the community look like you're not in favour. But would Arteta be in favour of it? I'm thinking from his point of view. Would he like Anthony Gordon? And when I asked that question out loud, I think he might like him because of that work rate and the pace. I wouldn't want nothing to do with him. Please don't sign this guy. Please. I don't rate the guy at all. He's a good youth. That's why. Headbang gang, you know what I mean? He's not really an upgrade, is he? Let him go Liverpool, man. They need a left winger. Don't go anywhere near this guy. Yeah, he's had a good run in the Champions League, but I don't want him. The other player we're being linked with from Newcastle, I am in favour of. We were linked with him in January. Fabrizio Romano saying today that he expects Arsenal to go back in for Sandro Tonali this summer. He said, one thing I can guarantee is that Arsenal will eventually work on midfielders in the summer. I think there is a strong possibility to see Sandro Tonali moving in the summer. So let's see with Arsenal, but it's not only Arsenal. He's being linked to clubs in Italy as well. I'm a fan of Tonali. Strong, quality on the ball, experienced. He's got strength. That's the type of signing that I'm all for. Berta's Italian. Imagine having Tonali, Zubamendi, Rice, Eze, Norgard. Go and get me a Morgan Rogers. Our midfield would be insane. Insane. And then Marino comes back from it. You go and get Tonali, Rogers, Leao, Alvarez. Alvarez costs you about 90, but then Rogers would cost you about 90 as well. So you're at 180. Leao costs you about 60. Tonali about 50. 290 if you win the league. We just spent 265. I know there'll be people in the chat going, this ain't Football Manager. You can't just do that. But if you sell properly, you can do that. Because I think personally Ben White might go in the summer, right? I think Ben White might leave. I think Jesus, you get rid of him. I reckon I would get rid of Odegaard. Who else would Arsenal probably get rid of? Let's say you could get 50 million for Odegaard, if you're lucky. Ben White, let's say you get 25, 30 million. He's been injured. His price will devalue. Jesus ain't worth a lot, to be honest. I don't think you get much for him. Leao's lawyer, bring him to the carpet, man. Bring him to the carpet. Guy's electric. Jesus to AC Milan, 20 million, something like that. But I'd take Tonali. I'd take Tonali, by the way. He's quality. And then Trossard, I think, would be the one that we'd get rid of. I think they'll keep Martinelli just because of his age and Brazilian. And say you can get 20 million. Let's say you got 20 million for Trossard, 30 million for Ben White, 50 million for Odegaard. That's 100 million. 20 million for Jesus. 120. Maybe you could even get rid of Havertz. But this is Arsenal. We'll get about £8 for all of those players and a meal deal from Tesco. So yeah, I won't hold my breath. Jesus and Leao swap deal. They're the kind of deals you go for. You go to AC Milan and say, yo, we'll give you 45 million and Jesus for Leao. Do you know what I mean? Who knows? Trossard, 15 million tops. If we lift the Champions League, it'll be different. That's the thing, if we win trophies, the value of some of these players will increase because there's hype around them. You go, yo, he's just won the league, bro. What are you talking about? He's worth more than that. So we need to win trophies. Berta's got to earn his wages this summer. He needs to show that he knows how to sell players because we just can't sell players. I think Fabio Vieira's still on loan from Arsenal, which is crazy considering how long we've had him. Right, let me move on and look ahead. Why Havertz? Because torn hamstring and a serious knee injury and 275 grand a week. I'm not sure Havertz is going to be up to it. And he's injured again now with his hamstring. A lot of injuries. I don't trust him. But I don't think Havertz going anywhere, by the way. I'm just saying I would probably let him go. Let's look ahead to the weekend. It's Arsenal against Chelsea at the Emirates. First against fifth. Chelsea unbeaten in their last 5, although they did draw with Burnley. Drew with Burnley at home, which is a shocking result. I don't know if you guys saw that picture of Liam Rossini, the Chelsea manager. He was just sat down in some local pub, looking miserable, drinking a pint of beer. And all the Chelsea fans were saying, look at this guy, he's got no aura. He looks like an office worker, who's in the pub after a stressful week at work. How is he Chelsea's manager? Blah, blah, blah. The brother is stressed. He's in his local pub drinking a pint by himself after drawing to Burnley. We need to send him back to that pub by adding to his stress by beating Chelsea this weekend. He's drew to Leeds and Burnley. But Chelsea, I think, will be a harder game than the Tottenham game because no matter what you think about Chelsea, they do have good players. Caicedo, João Pedro, Cole Palmer, and they need a win. But as we said earlier on in the stream, Rossini's just announced that Estevao is out of the game, Cucurella's out of the game as well, and obviously Fofana's out suspended. So they're missing key players. We've got to beat them. I predicted 3-1, which might be a bit optimistic, maybe 2-1. But I just think if we can score early, we'll get the better of them. The longer the game's 0-0, the more nerve-wracking it will be. I just think there'll be a great atmosphere at the Emirates this week. I think it'll be rocking after that Tottenham win. 10 games to go, cup final in 3 weeks. I think it's time for everybody to lock in, But yeah, that's what I'm hoping we can send out another message. Emmanuel said, Curtis, I acknowledge that Havertz should leave to Arsenal to free funds for acquiring quality players. Camavinga, Leao, Chukwueze, Barella. Chukwueze, I think, he's got to sort of prove a bit more at Fulham before somebody goes for him. But we know he's a talent. He showed it in other leagues, but in the Prem, I think he can do a bit more. Camavinga today being linked with a move, but Madrid players are always linked with moves, and most of them never leave. Barella, who I'm a big fan of, has looked very poor this season when I've watched him, although the formation that Inter played against us, he was almost playing on the right wing. It was crazy. But he looks like his legs might be done. I don't think I want Barella. I think the Barella hype is over. I want Vitinha. You know what I mean? I want Luis Enrique to leave PSG and Vitinha wants to come back to the Prem. That's the kind of player I want. But, I take Tonali and I would definitely take Camavinga. Although Camavinga is injury prone. That's my only concern with him. Jan said, Mr. Beginning, is Havertz injured again? No, I just mean over the last couple of weeks. He's obviously been injured and they said it was a hamstring injury, which is always a concern because obviously he's had an operation on his hamstring previously. I'm trying to find some of these Arteta quotes because apparently there's quotes out from him. Oh, yeah, yeah. I think I found some. Max Dowman will play for the under-21s this weekend for match fitness. Did he say anything about Havertz? Kai will train with the team tomorrow, so let's see if he's available for Sunday. That's all he's had to say regarding Havertz, which is the usual answer. Oh, guys, we have another training session, guys. We will see. He's in training. They said he nearly played last week, so I would imagine Havertz will be on the bench. Max Dowman's a booster, quality young player, although I don't think he'll play much. In terms of Arsenal against Chelsea, massive weekend. Man City go away to Leeds on Saturday night. I'll try not to watch it, but I'll probably end up watching it. It's stressful watching Man City games because you turn up with the enthusiasm they're going to lose. Then you think they might lose and then they win and you feel disappointed. So I try not to watch them that much, but you can't help it. You have to watch it. But I just don't like doing watch-alongs for it because it just ruins my day if they win. So we might leave it, and I don't expect Leeds to trouble them that much. But Leeds can be tough. You know, they drew with Man United. They beat Chelsea. I think they drew with Liverpool, although we battered them. But we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully they at least make it a tough game. We'll obviously know where we're at by Sunday. Are Man City going to be 2 points behind us again, which will then increase the pressure? But hopefully Leeds can do something. This is the point in the season where sometimes those teams at the bottom of the league are actually a nightmare to play against because teams fighting for relegation, do you know what I mean? They're desperate to stay up, and sometimes those games can be really difficult. So that's what we're all hoping for, that they show up and put a performance in. Ellen Road under the lights, yep. 5:30 kickoff. Watch 3 ads to enter the chat. And listen, do you know the thing? And I say this all the time. I don't add any ads to my streams, and I don't do it. YouTube automatically have a set amount of ads. Then you can manually add more because the more ads, the more money you make. But I don't like to add ads because I think it ruins the viewing experience if you watch a video and every few minutes ads pop up. So that is purely down to YouTube because I don't touch it. Yeah, that's why you gotta get YouTube Premium, man. I've got YouTube Premium. It cuts out the ads and stuff like that. But yeah, it is what it is. Big weekend for Arsenal and a must-win game. We need to beat Chelsea. I think we will beat Chelsea. I just think the way everything's sort of fallen for us and the fact that we've just beat Tottenham, they've just drawn with Burnley. Cucurella's out, Fofana's out, Esteval's out. We've got to beat them, but it's a tough game. It's definitely a tough game. I'm not for a second sitting here saying that this will be an easy game. They're a better team than Tottenham. This will be a harder game than the Tottenham game. But I just think if we can score early, we'll have a little bit too much for them. I'm just trying to see if Arteta made any other quotes that are worth reading because the full transcript isn't out at the moment. But we might just skip waffle settings. He said we're excited for the next round of the Champions League. He said that Gyökeres is an incredible striker. And then, yeah, he just says Max Dowman will play for the under-21s and that Kai Havertz will train tomorrow. He's back in full training. So I would expect Havertz possibly. I think he'll be on the bench. I think he'll be on the bench. Every player in the Arsenal squad available, apart from Marino and maybe not Ben White. Ben White's is a knock, though. So at least we're going into the latter part of the season with pretty much 99% of the squad available. Chelsea are dangerous because when we played them away from home in the league, they were down to 10 men after 30 minutes. And you thought, go and get them, go and beat them. We actually ended up conceding and coming back and getting a draw against 10 men. I remember being very disappointed with that performance and the way we sat back and allowed Chelsea to still attack us with 10 men. We then went away from home in the Carabao Cup first leg and half their team was missing. And I thought, we're going to batter them. And we beat them 3-2. And I remember thinking, you've left the tie open. It should have been over. We should have beat them 3-0. And then Garnacho scores 2 goals. And then even in the home leg, we didn't score till the end of the game, 90-odd minutes when Havertz scored. So one thing I will say is we have not been comfortable in any of the 3 games this season against Chelsea. No, even when they've had players missing, we've never been comfortable. Do you know what I mean? And that's where I'm like, we need to put in a better performance this weekend. We're at home. Can we score first? The manager's under pressure. I would love to see us like go and really hand it to them. You know, go 2 or 3-0 up and just say, look, you're not good enough to cope with us. You're just not. But am I being a bit too enthusiastic saying 3-1? It might be closer than that. I was tempted to go 2-1. Curtis, what's your thoughts on this Premflix? If this happens, Sky and TNT are finished. I'll be happy. Better than paying £60 to watch football fan IQ. Listen, for a long time, I've said the television situation in this country is so out of date and prehistoric. It's unbelievable. Why should you pay all this money and probably 20% of your club's games are not on TV when you're in this country? Most places around the world will have all the games. You should be able to pay an amount of money each month and you know what games you're going to see. You should not be missing any of your team's games. I should be able to go, right, I'm going to pay £40 a month to watch all of Arsenal's games that month, or £20 or whatever. But you're paying all this money to Sky, to TNT, to Amazon, and then a 3 o'clock kickoff turns up and I'm scrambling to get it. VPN. They should have changed it years ago. It's ridiculous. So I really hope they do something like, yeah, the profile pic, he's going mad. Do you know what I mean? But we let him off. We let him off. But yeah, they need to sort it out. It's a joke. It's so out of date. It's unbelievable. Should just be able to watch every game. Team lineup. Lee was saying on Forever this morning that he would play Calafiori over Nkapie. I disagreed. I think Nkapie has to start. Chelsea have got decent wingers. Neto, Palmer. Esteval's obviously out. I think Nkapie has to start. He's better defensively. I don't think Nkapie is really there at the moment. I think Nkapie is the number 1 left back. He was also saying that he wouldn't be surprised if Eze doesn't start and he plays Odegaard. And I was like, he's crazy if he doesn't play Eze. You've got to play Eze. The only way you could maybe shoehorn Odegaard in the team, I'm thinking from Arteta's point of view, he could play Odegaard attacking midfield and put Eze on the left, which again, I just think is disrespectful. Eze's just put in one of his best performances in an Arsenal shirt. Why do you need to force Odegaard into the team? It's not necessary. So for me, I'm playing the exact same team as last week. Now, there are a lot of people saying, don't play Timber, he looks knackered, he's not playing great. We haven't played for 7 days. I think Timber should be fresh enough. Bear in mind, next weekend we've got Mansfield, so Timber doesn't have to play that game. I would say to Timber, I need you for this game against Chelsea. If he's shattered, maybe you can play Mosquera or Ben White away against Brighton in midweek. But I would pick the same 11 that just played against Tottenham. We've had the week with no game. They all played well. Nkapie starts. Zubimendi and Rice. Eberechi Eze. Can we get goals from him? And creativity. Trossard starts. Even though I didn't think he played great last week, it was probably still better than what we saw of Martinelli against Wolves, who was just absolutely horrendous. But we had Stella or Trossard on that left-hand side. I would pick exactly the same team. Then if you've got Havertz on the bench, you've got Havertz, you've got Martinelli, you've got Odegaard, you've got Lewis Skelly. You've got options that you can bring on. Norgard. That's what I would do. Havertz does have a good record against Chelsea, but again, just come back from a hamstring injury. I wouldn't be forcing him into the team. I would play exactly the same team. I genuinely think this team benefited Gyökeres more than any other player. Eze played close to him. Saka was higher up the pitch. It would just be interesting how Arteta sets up against Chelsea, because they are a better team than Tottenham. So will he be a bit more defensive because he has a little bit more respect for them? But then it is a home game. He needs to play on the front foot. Cal said our drop in level came around when Calafiori went out. We have lost creativity and disruption. I think Nketiah is improving now. I think he's improving, particularly defensively. I think Nketiah is better than Calafiori. Calafiori, I would say, was better than him going forward, but he attacks with chaos. But I actually think Nketiah is starting to get a little bit better in terms of like scored the other day. His crosses aren't bad, but yeah, Calafiori does get forward well. Nah, not Madueke over Saka. Saka was dangerous against Tottenham. He should have scored. That left-hand side is the problem at the moment. You know, could he do something different? Play Jesus on the left? I don't know. I think you've got no choice. You play Trossard until he starts playing bad, and then you put Martinelli in until he starts playing bad, and you just rotate and rotate all season. But yeah, this Kung Fu Panda better turn up. Reece James at right back, unless they're forced to put him in midfield. But I think they'll play Enzo and Caicedo and maybe Andre Santos. Could you play Noni on the left? Didn't look great when he was there, but Trossard didn't look great the other day, and neither did Nelly the game before. But I think he'll go Trossard. Just because the close ball control and the link up with Gyökeres, I think he'll go for him. Trossard against James will be comical. The thing is with Reece James, he ain't going to outpace him, but he might just be able to play some decent passes that cause problems, you know. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, left wing Saka, Noni on the right. I hear that, but I think now Saka, you've got to try and play Saka into form on the right. You know, I think at the back end of the season, you need your big players to play their way into form. And I think that's Saka, Gyökeres, Eze, all these players. You want them in their best position, trying to do the business, you know. Reece James is back, he said, Rosinha, in his press conference. So Reece James will play, but no Fofana, no Cucurella, and no Esteval. So, Curtis, do you remember when Pep used to praise Arteta a lot? He stopped that now. Yeah, it used to be mind games. Oh, Arteta's amazing, and then now he don't say much. Lincoln, big up to you, bro. With this draw, minimum semi-finals or sack him. Yeah, I mean, listen, Leverkusen in the last 16, and then Bodo Glimt or Sporting Lisbon in the quarter-final. That's got to be minimum semi-final. Then it could be Barcelona or Tottenham, Atletico, or Newcastle in a semi-final. So it'll be very interesting. But yeah, you just never know with Europe, though, do you? You never know, but we should do. It could be this could be the best year ever as an Arsenal fan, or it could be one of the worst. Let's hope it's one of the best. But big up to everyone locked in. Really appreciate your support today. I'm going to redirect you over to Troops, who's just gone live. So we'll redirect over to him. For some reason, it's not showing up with his channel. So maybe we're not redirecting to him. Let's have a look. Are we redirecting? It's not looking good here. There we go. Right there. Yeah, we'll redirect to Troops. Hit him with the C Unit raid in the chat, people. Hit the likes. And let me just read out this final super chat. D Brown said, Arsenal have a real problem at left wing. Martinelli is ish when he starts. Trossard hasn't been good since Newcastle. Every decision he makes is the wrong one. It's because he's steaming, mate. Stella or Trossard. Big up to everyone locked in. Hit the like button and subscribe. If we get some news, I might do a live tomorrow. If not, I'll be back for the game on Sunday. Big up to everyone. I'll see you all soon, people.